What's up, guys? So today we're going to talk about this. So what is this? This is what most people would call a Tiny Whoop style drone, and we're going to do a comparison video, kind of like a shootout. So we're going to be comparing the flight controller that's in this Tiny Whoop and this flight controller. And I'm just going to take off this camera so you can see it better. So this is the new Beebrain Lite. This was announced kind of at the end of 2018, so like in November or December. And this aircraft has an Alien Zero flight controller inside of it. And both of these flight controllers kind of represent the latest and greatest of micro brushed quad technology. I know there's been a big push for like kind of brushless quads of this same size, but however, what seems to be the general consensus is that the brushless variants of kind of these quads, they don't have the same agility that these do. I have flown both of them, and I'm just going to talk about the features each of them has and kind of the pros and cons of each one and kind of who they're all for. Before I get started, I want to say, in my personal experience, the end-all be-all goal of these little guys is to get them to fly as good as the gold standard, but in an indoor environment. And in my opinion, the gold standard is this. This is for those of you who do not know, this is a 5-inch mini quad. And the nice thing about having a 5-inch quad like this is that this aircraft or platform offers a really good balance between speed, power, and agility. And you have enough power to carry a payload, which in our case is a GoPro style camera. This one's designed to carry a session, but these can easily carry the GoPro Hero 5, 6, and most recently the 7. So, getting that out of the way, let's talk about these guys and kind of what they do to fly like a 5-inch quad, but inside. So, Newbie Drone, the company that makes the Beebrain Lite, their strategy is to kind of throw everything in the kitchen sink at this little guy that you would find on a 5-inch. So what I mean by that is on this one little itty bitty teeny tiny PCB, you have an F4 flight controller, a OSD, which stands for on-screen display, a video transmitter, a RF or FR Sky compatible or Spectrum compatible receiver, 4 ESCs, and red, green, blue LEDs. And something that is completely new for the brushed micro scene is this has active braking on it, which is what is on our 5-inch quads. And essentially what active braking does is it forces the motor to go to a specific stick position without using air resistance. And this thing flies really, really well. The stock PID tune on this guy feels really good. And this is also completely Betaflight compatible. You can plug this thing into your computer and tune it like any other Betaflight flight controller. However, one big problem that I have with this board is the fact that everything is conjoined in everything except for the camera is put into this board. So the problem with that is that there's no modularity with this. And what I mean by that is you don't have the ability to change out the video transmitter if it breaks. You don't have the ability to change out the flight controller if it breaks. The only things you can change out when using this is the camera or the motors and the antenna if you can, when you peel away this electrical heat shrink. And I actually experienced a problem with this. As I was trying to do power loops with a Tiny Whoop, essentially, I kept slamming the aircraft into the ground or like just, flipping it over. Well, eventually what happened to me as I was flying around for about a minute and a half, the video would just go to complete static. But like when I pull the throttle back and land, the video would come back. But as soon as I increased throttle even by a little bit, I would just get loads and loads of video noise. I tried to correct this with a capacitor, but that still didn't do anything. So I decided, you know what? This is not reliable for me. This does not meet my expectations. So I'm going to switch to the Alienwhoop Zero. Alright, so let's talk about the Alienwhoop. The Alienwhoop, what's special about this flight controller is that it uses something called Silverware. Now, Silverware is a totally different flight controller software that has been developed and optimized for this guy right here. So what that means is that you cannot plug this flight controller up to the computer. You cannot tune your PIDs. You cannot tune your rates. You are essentially stuck with the PIDs and rates that come from the factory. Also, when you buy this flight controller, it doesn't come with everything all in one. You are going to need to supply your own camera, video transmitter, and receiver in addition to the motors and your frame. As far as flying characteristics go, again, this thing flies really well. The rates aren't mine, so I kind of struggle to fly this thing in acro mode compared to the Beebrain. However, this thing, one cool thing about the Alienwhoop is that there are flight modes on this thing that are really cool, and I don't think you can find in Betaflight. Mainly the two race modes. So there's a race mode angle and a race mode horizon on this quad. And what that means is that when race mode angle is engaged, you will still have auto leveling on your roll axis, but full acro on your pitch axis. And actually just setting up a little figure eight here in my apartment and flying this thing around, like, I was really pushing this thing. I've tried some acro with this thing to limited success, and there are 3 acro modes on the Alienwhoop Zero. You've got your acro, a juicy acro mode, and a full Bronx acro mode. The juicy and the regular acro do something to the PID controller, whereas one is kind of more like, you know, flowy, kind of like Johnny FPV, and the other one's a little more aggressive, kind of like Steele's flying style. But like I said, I mean, I've tried all 3. I haven't really found one that really suits my flying style, but that's also because I haven't really had to fly this one other than a room kind of like this. So I would say the biggest pro to the Alienwhoop is that you do have access to kind of some unique flight modes that are kind of tailored toward, you know, brushed microquads. However, the downside is that like there is no, like, you don't get any Betaflight features with this. There's no Vtx remote control. There's no OSD. There's no Betaflight OSD, there's no Betaflight tuning, there's none of that, and you have to know how to solder to put this thing together, whereas this guy, this is a solderless build. So now I've kind of talked about the pros and cons and kind of how each of them fly and what makes them unique. Let's kind of wrap this up and let's talk about what each of these are, who each of these are for. If you're the kind of person who, you know, wants to try something new and you already have like a tiny whoop parts lying around, then I think try out the Alienwhoop. Like I said, the flight controller is only like 35 bucks. Or if you want to build one of these from scratch and you want kind of the firmware that's been really optimized for the brushed tiny whoop quads, then I think you'll really like the Alienwhoop. If you have something other than a Tyrannus, it might be a little bit harder to get your flight modes and everything set up on this. There is a bit more of a learning curve to get this up into the air than this. So if you're willing to fiddle with things and yeah, if you think you'll like what the Alienwhoop offers you in the form of kind of just the unique flight modes that are tied to this, then give this a try. I think you'll really like it. If you come from a 5-inch mini quad background and you want a small brushed quad that you can very easily tune similar to your 5-inch rigs, then go with the go with the Beebrain Lite. Just be gentle with this guy because, again, everything is condensed into one board. However, I do want to put in a disclaimer that I got this one on pre-order, so this was one of like the very first Beebrain Lite batches, so that could play a factor in kind of what went wrong with the video. And also, I mean, I was doing power loops and slamming it into the ground, so that very well could be that probably is the reason why this thing crapped out on me. Although I will say, just real quick, going back to this guy, the M4 chip right here, it gets hot. It gets hot really fast. So, but again, first batch, me just being ridiculous and failing to do power loops, yeah. Bad Ryan. Bad Ryan. So, anyway, like I said, Betaflight users, I think you really like this. If you want to do tiny whoop racing and you know how to solder, go with this. So, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Do y'all like these videos? Do y'all like these reviews? I know, okay, my channel's actually been growing a lot recently, and I want to say that that's in large part just due to the fact that one of my flight videos was showcased on the Rotor Riot December showcase thing or whatever. So anybody from Rotor Riot, if you're watching this video, thank you very much. I am very very honored and very humbled that you would, you know, pick my video to be showcased. So thanks, I really appreciate it. If you are a new subscriber and if you like this video, please leave me a like or a comment. If you would like me to do more of these videos on other things, please leave me a comment down below. I appreciate viewer feedback. I would like to know if people like these videos, or, you know, what would you like to see more of in the future? Would you like a trick tutorial? Would you like more kind of, you know, head-to-head videos like this? Please let me know down in the comments. Thanks. Have a good one.